Picture this. I'm standing at the edge of my own life, toes curling over a precipice I can't quite see, the wind of my own thoughts pushing me forward into the unknown. My name is Elisa, and at 35, I've built a world that looks flawless from the outside, but inside, it's a hollow shell echoing with whispers of what used to be. I'm married to Mark, a man of 38 whose presence fills a room like a storm cloud. Powerful, commanding, but so often out of reach. He's a corporate executive, a financial consultant whose ambition is both his crown and his cage. 8 years of marriage have polished us into something presentable, like a tablecloth folded just so for a holiday feast. Neat, proper, hiding the stains underneath. But beneath that surface I'm unraveling, thread by thread. Our home in Chicago is a reflection of that facade. It's a modern, minimalist apartment, all sharp lines and cold elegance. Sleek furniture sits like sculptures, untouched by warmth. The marble countertops gleam under harsh light, icy to the touch, as if they've never known the heat of a home-cooked meal shared in laughter. Framed photos line the walls, Mark and I on a beach in Maui, grinning under a sunset, another at our wedding, my white dress glowing against his dark suit. They're relics now, artifacts of a time when his eyes lingered on me longer than they did on his phone. These days, I feel like a guest in this space, tiptoeing around the edges of his world, careful not to disturb the order he's so meticulously crafted. Everything has its place here, except me. Mark's work is his true spouse. Late nights at the office bleed into early mornings, his laptop a constant companion humming with emails and spreadsheets. I hear the tap of his fingers on the keys more than I hear his voice directed at me. Phone calls punctuate our evenings, his tone sharp and authoritative with clients, while I sit across from him, a silent spectator. Our conversations have shrunk to the bare bones, bills to pay, schedules to sync, a curt good night before he turns away in bed. I'm not even sure when it started, this slow drift, but I felt it crystallize last month over dinner. There we were, at our glass dining table, a bottle of Merlot between us. I sipped my wine, the bitter tang coating my tongue, while he scrolled through his inbox, his face illuminated by the blue glow of his screen. I watched him, waiting for a glance, a word, anything. But I was invisible, a ghost at my own table, the clink of my glass against my lips the only sound I made. That moment burned into me, a quiet wound that hasn't stopped aching since. There's a restlessness growing in my chest, a hunger I can't name yet, clawing at the walls I've built around myself. I don't know what I'm reaching for, but I know I can feel that restlessness still simmering inside me as I zip up my black suitcase, the metallic rasp of the zipper cutting through the silence of our Chicago apartment. Mark is already packed, his matching suitcase standing by the door like a sentinel, ready for our trip to New York. We're headed to a business conference, one of those events where he thrives, surrounded by suits and handshakes, while I'm just along for the ride. I don't even know why I agreed to go, but here I am, folding my navy blouse with mechanical precision, my fingers lingering on the fabric as if it holds some answer I can't grasp. The morning of our departure is gray, the sky outside our window a heavy blanket of clouds mirroring the weight in my chest. We load the car without much talk, the quiet between us thicker than the fog rolling off Lake Michigan. The drive to the airport is a stretch of silence, punctuated only by the hum of the engine and the occasional click of the turn signal. I steal glances at Mark, his jaw set, eyes fixed on the road, hands gripping the steering wheel like it's the only thing anchoring him. I wonder if he even notices I'm here. At the airport, we check in side by side, our movements synchronized from years of routine. As we hand over our IDs, his hand brushes mine, a fleeting, absent-minded touch, more muscle memory than meaning. It's not warmth, not affection, just a ghost of something that used to be there. My skin tingles for a moment, but it fades as quickly as it came, leaving me colder than before. We board the plane, settle into our seats, and I stare out the window at the tarmac, watching the world blur as we take off, heading toward a city that feels as distant as the man sitting next to me. New York greets us with its usual chaos, a whirlwind of honking taxis and hurried footsteps. The conference hotel is a sleek, upscale tower of glass and steel, its walls reflecting the city's endless energy. Inside, the lobby buzzes with professionals in crisp suits, their voices a low hum of importance. Our room is on the 14th floor, a sterile space with crisp, white sheets stretched tight over the bed, a panoramic view of Manhattan's skyline, and a minibar I don't dare touch. The city sprawls out below me, a maze of lights and lives, and I feel smaller than ever, a speck in the vastness of it all. Mark is already in motion, unpacking his tailored suit with the efficiency of a soldier preparing for battle. That first morning, I watch him adjust his tie in the mirror, his reflection sharp and commanding, every inch the corporate warrior. He turns to me, distracted, his mind already on his packed schedule, and presses a quick kiss to my forehead. It's a gesture so mechanical, it might as well be a handshake. Then he's gone, disappearing into a meeting room somewhere in the bowels of this glass giant, leaving me alone with the echo of the door clicking shut behind him. I'm left standing there, the silence of the hotel room pressing against me like a heavy fog. Hours pass, and I'm adrift in this sterile space, pacing between the window and the bed, the city's pulse outside a stark contrast to the stillness inside me. I try to read, flip through channels on the TV, but nothing holds my attention. The loneliness gnaws at me, sharper with every tick of the clock. I'm not used to this kind of solitude, not in a place so far from home, and it's stirring something restless in my chest, something I've been trying to ignore for too long. Then, there's a knock at the door, sharp and unexpected, slicing through the quiet. My heart gives a little jolt as I cross the room, smoothing my hair without even thinking about it. I open the door and there stands Ryan, one of Mark's colleagues. I've seen him before at company events, always on the periphery, but now he's right in front of me, dressed in a casual blazer and slacks, his easy smile catching me off guard. His presence feels like a sudden burst of color in this monochrome day. "Hey, Elisa," he says, his voice warm, almost too familiar. "I noticed you weren't at the conference sessions. I'm on a break and thought maybe you'd like to grab a coffee downstairs at the cafe. No pressure, just figured you might want some company." I hesitate, a flicker of guilt sparking in my mind. Mark is somewhere in this building, buried in meetings, and here I am, considering stepping out with someone else, even if it's just for coffee. But the weight of the empty room behind me, the hours of nothingness stretching ahead, pushes me forward. I crave any kind of connection, anything to fill the void that's been growing inside me. "Sure," I say finally, my voice quieter than I mean it to be. "Let me grab my purse." We walk to the elevator and Ryan holds the door for me, a small gesture that feels oddly intimate in this impersonal space. As we descend, he makes small talk about the conference, asking if I've been to New York before, commenting on the keynote speaker's terrible jokes. His tone is light, effortless, and I find myself relaxing just a little. When he glances at my blouse, a simple cream top I threw on without much thought, and says, "That color looks great on you," I feel a warmth creep up my neck. It's not flirtatious, not exactly, just genuine. But it's been so long since anyone's noticed something like that about me that it lands heavier than it should. Downstairs, the hotel cafe is a cozy nook tucked away from the lobby's bustle, with small round tables and the rich scent of roasted coffee beans in the air. We settle into a corner spot, steaming lattes in front of us, the ceramic mugs warm against my palms. At first, the conversation is surface level, how long the conference sessions drag, the best places to eat in the city. But as the minutes stretch into an hour, then two, We dive deeper. We talk about travel, places we've been and dream of going. Him to the cliffs of Ireland, me to the quiet villages of Tuscany. We swap favorite books, laughing over shared tastes in gritty novels. Then, somehow, we're on personal dreams, the kind of things I haven't voiced in years, not even to myself. I tell him about wanting to start a small art studio someday, a space to paint and lose myself in color, something Mark dismissed as impractical long ago. Ryan listens, really listens, his hazel eyes locked on mine, and there's a warmth in his gaze that makes my chest tighten. His laugh, low and genuine, wraps around me like a blanket, and I notice how he leans in just a fraction as I speak, like every word matters to him. I'm not sure when it shifts, but it does. Maybe it's when he reaches across the table, his fingers brushing mine as he gestures to make a point. The touch is brief, accidental maybe, but I freeze, my heart pounding so loud I'm sure he can hear it. I don't pull away, lying here, tangled in the hotel sheets, the fabric twisted around my legs like a snare I can't escape. The air in the room feels heavy, thick with the weight of what just happened. Ryan is beside me, his breathing slow and steady, a stark contrast to the chaos tearing through my mind. Neither of us speaks. The silence is suffocating, pressing down on me as the reality of my betrayal seeps into every corner of my being. I can still feel the heat of his touch, the rush of forbidden thrill that coursed through me just moments ago, but now it's drowned out by a tidal wave of guilt. My chest tightens as I picture Mark's face, those sharp, stormy eyes that used to look at me with something like love, now haunting me with imagined disappointment. How could I have let this happen? How am I supposed to face him after this, knowing what I've done in this sterile, impersonal space while he's somewhere downstairs, buried in his work, oblivious to the fracture I've just created in our already fragile world? My thoughts are a storm, swirling and crashing against each other. Part of me is still caught in the intensity of what transpired with Ryan, the way it felt to be seen, desired, in a way I haven't felt in years. It was like a spark igniting something long dormant inside me, a fire I didn't know I still had. But the other part of me, the louder part, is screaming with regret. I dread the moment I'll have to look into Mark's eyes and pretend everything is fine. Pretend I haven't just shattered the vows we made 8 years ago. I'm torn, split down the middle between the fleeting exhilaration of this mistake and the crushing weight of knowing I've crossed a line I can't uncross. Ryan shifts beside me, his voice breaking through the tempest in my head. "Hey, we both needed this," he murmurs, his tone soft, almost tender, as if he's trying to stitch up a wound he knows is already bleeding out. But his words barely register. They're drowned out by the roar of my own conscience, by the image of Mark's face that I can't shake, by the question of how I let myself fall this far. I can't stay here. Not like this. I sit up abruptly, the sheets slipping off me as I swing my legs over the side of the bed. My hands are unsteady as I reach for my clothes, pulling them on with hurried, jerky movements. I catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror across the room as I smooth my hair down, trying to erase any trace of what's happened. My cheeks are flushed, a telltale sign of the heat that still lingers in my skin, and my hands tremble as I adjust my blouse. I look like someone who's been caught in a storm, disheveled and unsteady, and in a way, I have. Ryan watches me for a moment, then gets up too, dressing with a calm I envy. Before he leaves, he turns to me, his expression serious. "This stays between us, okay? No one needs to know." I nod, but the promise feels hollow, a thin shield against the inevitable. He slips out the door, and just like that, I'm alone again. The room feels different now, like a crime scene I can't escape. Every detail, the rumpled bed, the faint scent of his cologne, mocking me with what I've done. I move to the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face, hoping it'll shock me back to some semblance of control. The icy droplets sting my skin, but they do little to quiet the panic clawing at my insides. I stare at my reflection in the mirror, water dripping down my chin, and rehearse excuses in my mind. If Mark asks where I've been, I'll say I went for a walk, needed some air, got lost in the city for a while. The lies feel flimsy, even as I think them, brittle as dry leaves, but they're all I have. I grip the edge of the sink, my knuckles whitening, trying to steady myself, but my heart keeps racing, a drumbeat of dread I can't silence. Back. I'm sitting on the edge of the bed now, the sheets still a tangled mess behind me, my hands clasped tightly in my lap as if they could hold me together. The room is suffocatingly quiet, the kind of silence that amplifies every tiny sound. My uneven breathing, the faint hum of the air conditioning, the distant murmur of the city beyond the window. I've tried to smooth out my appearance, to erase any evidence of what happened, but I can still feel the weight of it on my skin, in the air, like a shadow I can't shake. My mind is a whirlwind, replaying every choice that led me here, every moment I could have stopped myself but didn't. And then, as if summoned by my guilt, I hear the faint click of a keycard in the door. My breath catches in my throat, sharp and painful, as the door swings open. There he is. Mark, his tall frame filling the doorway like a storm about to break. His broad shoulders are squared, his suit slightly wrinkled from a long day of meetings, but it's his face that stops me cold. It's unreadable at first, a mask of stone, his sharp features carved into something distant and impenetrable. I'm frozen where I sit, my body locked in place, unable to move or speak as his eyes begin to scan the room. They linger on the rumpled sheets behind me, the chaotic evidence I couldn't fully hide. They flicker over my disheveled state, my blouse slightly askew despite my efforts, my hair still mussed from earlier. And I know he senses it, the faint trace of another presence, a scent that doesn't belong, hanging in the air like a confession I haven't voiced. The silence stretches on, agonizing and endless, heavier than any words could be. I open my mouth, desperate to say something, anything, an excuse, an apology, a plea, but nothing comes. My throat is tight, choked with the weight of my own shame, and all I can do is stare at him, waiting for the explosion I'm sure is coming. But when his gaze finally meets mine, locking onto me with an intensity that pierces straight through, I see something I can't quite name. It's raw, unfiltered, a mix of hurt so deep it cuts me, anger simmering beneath the surface, and something else, something like resignation, as if he's already accepted a truth I'm still grappling with. My chest aches at the sight of it, at the way his eyes seem to see right through me, stripping away every lie I've told myself. I brace myself for the confrontation, for the shouting, for the accusations I deserve. But to my shock, he doesn't say a word. He doesn't yell, doesn't storm toward me with questions or demands. Instead, he steps back just slightly, his hand still on the doorknob, and then he quietly closes the door behind him. The soft click of the latch echoes in the room, louder than any scream, sharper than any blade. It's a sound that reverberates in my bones, a finality I wasn't prepared for. I'm left staring at the closed door, my vision blurring as hot tears spill down my cheeks, unchecked and unstoppable. He knows. I don't know how much, but he knows enough. And that silence, that quiet retreat, cuts deeper than any words could have. It's not just anger or betrayal. It's the absence of a fight, the absence of even trying to understand, that tears me apart. I don't move for what feels like hours, though I know it can't be that long. My body is heavy, anchored to the bed as if the weight of this moment has turned me to stone. My mind keeps replaying the scene, his unreadable face, the slow sweep of his gaze over the room, the way he shut the door with such deliberate calm. I wonder if I should go after him, chase him down the hallway, Force him to talk, to yell, to do something other than leave me in this suffocating void? But my legs won't move, and deep down, I'm not sure I have the right to demand anything from him now. Maybe he needs space to process this. Do I wake up the next morning, my eyes swollen and raw from the tears that wouldn't stop last night? The hotel room is eerily still, a hollow kind of quiet that presses against my skin like a cold hand. The bed beside me is empty, the sheets smoothed out as if no one ever lay there. My gaze darts to the corner of the room where Mark's suitcase used to sit, a silent sentinel of his presence. It's gone. My heart plummets, a sickening drop that leaves me breathless. Did he leave in the night without a word? Has he walked out of my life for good after what he saw? After the unspoken truth that hung between us like a guillotine? I sit up slowly, the weight of that possibility crushing me, making every movement feel like wading through mud. As I shift, something catches my eye on the bedside table. A small folded piece of paper, stark white against the dark wood. My breath hitches as I recognize Mark's precise, angular handwriting on the outside, just my name scrawled in ink. My hands tremble as I reach for it, the paper feeling heavier than it should, like it carries the weight of our entire marriage. I unfold it with care, as if it might crumble under my touch, and read the words he's left behind. Now I know what I've lost, and what I'm guilty of. Each syllable hits me like a fist to the chest, knocking the air out of me. He knows about my betrayal, the moment of weakness that shattered everything. But there's more in those words. His own confession, an admission of the distance that grew between us, the way he let our marriage drift into a cold, empty shell. I read the note again and again, my vision blurring as fresh tears spill over, dripping onto the paper and smudging the ink. It's not just an accusation, it's a mirror, reflecting both our failures, and that cuts deeper than I expected. I collapse back onto the bed, clutching the note in my fist, the sharp edges of the paper biting into my palm. My mind is a carousel of memories, spinning through 8 years of us. Our first date at that tiny Italian place in Chicago, the way he laughed so freely then. The day he proposed under a willow tree, his voice shaking with nerves. The quiet nights early on when we'd lie awake talking about dreams we never chased. But then there are the later years, the silences that stretched too long, the way I became invisible to him, a fixture in his life rather than a partner. Was this inevitable? Did we both push each other to this breaking point? I don't know if this note is a goodbye or a sliver of hope, a chance to rebuild from the rubble. My chest aches with the uncertainty, a hollow pain that echoes in the stillness of this room. Hours pass, or maybe it's just minutes. I can't tell anymore. I force myself to move, to pack my things with mechanical precision, folding clothes I don't remember wearing, zipping up my suitcase with a rasp that sounds too loud in the quiet. I've decided to check out alone, to face the world beyond this room even if I'm not ready. As I drag my suitcase through the hotel lobby, the wheels clattering against the polished marble, I feel the weight of curious glances from the staff. Their eyes seem to linger, as if they can sense the storm I'm carrying, the wreckage of last night written in the slump of my shoulders, the redness of my eyes. I keep my head down, avoiding their gazes, but I can't escape the feeling of being exposed, like my shame is a neon sign flashing above me. Outside, I hail a cab, the cold New York air biting at my skin as I slide into the back seat. The driver asks for my destination in a gruff tone, and I mumble, "Airport," barely audible over the hum of traffic. The ride is a blur of honking horns and flashing lights, the city's chaos a stark contrast to the numbness settling into my bones. I stare out the window, watching Manhattan's towering skyline shrink as we move farther away, my reflection ghostly in the glass. I don't know if I'll see him again. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.